So this is Brady with DAC Performance Health, Seth, which you guys have seen before, and then also Jarod, which you guys have seen before. So they're here for 3 days. We're going to go over a little bit of what we've been doing and what they have going on. So first, I know we mentioned talking about this. When you were first starting training, not physical training, but training to be a coach, I was taking you through, we were going through the DAC Coaches Pack, like in the course that we have for it. And at that time, you weren't throwing 95, and now you are.
Yeah, feels cool to say that.
Yeah. So walk me through that process. What happened? Like what? Because it was literally, when did you hit 95?
Monday.
And it was the first time?
It's in a long time, yeah.
Okay.
Very long time.
Okay, cool. So walk me through like what was that process like?
It was a little bit, I guess, of realizing that there's a way that I can use all the things I was currently doing like more effectively. Like I could apply myself more and like think about my throwing more and figure out what exactly that I thought I needed to do versus just kind of like walking into it and just like giving my best effort and hoping it works out. But it was like, no, I want to throw 95, like backtrack, make a plan, figure out how to do that. So it was like in my throwing drills was just figuring out how to apply like myself in the throw, but also like not just do it and give my best effort, but like intentionally, like specifically, like go in there and try to like clean it up.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Was there like a specific thing, or like let's say one specific thought process or something like that you felt like?
It was. I felt like I was just more aligned with like my goal. Like I wanted to do it. Like I believed like I could do it, and I had all the like resources and experiences in order to like make that happen. So it was like, okay, well, like then why am I not doing it? And I felt like it was really clear to me on like that's what I wanted to do. So like I was really focused on it. And then in the training session, like I found a couple things that like really clicked. Like after that, I had that like kind of like reconciliation of like I have this idea, this is what I want to do, but I'm not doing it. Like reconcile that. And then shortly after there, I had a breakthrough where I just learned to sit into my back hip better in a way that I hadn't done before. And then I just jumped like 1 to 2 miles an hour and then 3 to 4 and got to 95.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And how long ago did that start where that became like a target for you?
95 has been a target honestly for a long time, but it was.
Like how long?
Like years. Like, you know, like I haven't hit 95 since 2020. And now my release height's like 1.5 feet lower. So like being able to get up to 95 now, like obviously I want to throw harder. And when we started the pack, it was like, how do I get to 95? Because I believe that would get me re-signed.
Mm-hmm.
And
because at that time you had been released.
Yeah, I was released free agent.
It was off season of 2024, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
And then so I guess I still had the goal in season, but I was just like, not that I was sidetracked, but it was just. I wasn't putting myself to that goal like I probably could have in season. And just kind of realizing that when I came home off season, it was like, okay, like if I have this, like it's a little simpler, my schedule now. I'm not throwing in a game. Like let's actually figure out what I can do to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And I know you have the target of 405.
Front squat, yeah.
Front squat.
And hang clean, but 405 front squat, yeah.
Yeah. Which one are you more excited about?
I would say front squat because I know it's going to come first.
Okay.
Hang clean's so much more technical, and it's just.
And you just started
hang cleaning?
Or?
Yeah, I probably started hang cleans 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And honestly, I have no idea how to program for them. Have no idea like how they affect other outputs. So I've just been kind of like 2 sets of 2 or a set of 5 or something like that. But if you do a set of 8 hand cleans, your heart rate's at 200.
Yeah, it's cardio.
So it becomes, that's what I'm saying, like I think it's such I don't even want to say full body, but like it's such a technical, high speed, high output movement through very large ranges of motion that you get gassed very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sensitive to volume and load and stuff like that.
So what have you noticed because we were talking about this a little bit before.
Yeah.
What have you noticed? You said before you set those targets,
Yeah.
you were training,
Yeah.
but you weren't necessarily, you're just going and training, right?
Yeah.
So like, what have you noticed the difference?
So
between
I
those?
have an interesting perspective that relates to the DAC training, where it's like so for example, if we're doing the shoulder joint move, ab and adduction, right? What usually fatigues out there is the front of that shoulder, maybe the pec a little bit, or whatever is responsible for fighting gravity, right?
Okay.
Or I don't have to explain that to you, right? But for the people listening,
Please.
yeah, the goal of like one of the base goals of DAC is to be able to recover as you work. So in a joint move, if I'm going from adduction to abduction, I want to use both sides of the joint, right? And I want to use that pec to adduct the arm, and I want to use the scap to abduct the arm. And if both of those tissues are working how they're supposed to, then we will be able to recover as we work, because we're not just using one side of that joint the entire time. So where I'm going with this in relation to the hang cleans and front squats is it's in that joint move, right? Everything you are doing is geared towards that action of recovering as you work, right? And creating that movement. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, right? You're not like thinking about the scap as you go into adduction. You're thinking about shortening that pec. Vice versa for the abduction. So everything involved in that movement is working together. And if that is true, then you do not fatigue. And so like where I'm going with this in relation to hang cleans and front squats is that it has been a huge click for me when it comes to actual training outputs, such as like the actual weight on the bar, or the jump height, the sprint speed, stuff like that, actual outputs, but also more of abstract, or like the more abstract facets of it, such as creativity, problem solving.
Yeah, because that's the part that I was curious about, right?
Yes, and where to go next. That's been the coolest part. Is like, we had this conversation last night when we were ripping our bench, was
ripping bench.
like I am so excited for every leg day that I can't wait for the leg day 7 leg days from now, because I understand exactly where I want to go, and I have this knowledge of what I need to use to get me there, right? And we talked about this the other day, where I had these huge PRs, like over the first month where I set this goal. My front squat 5 rep max in the past 2 months has gone from 250 to 295. 45-pound jump.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now now it's getting to the point where it's starting to stall out. And every PR, instead of like every time I go to test a 3 or a 5 or an 8 rep max PR, and it's a 10 or a 20-pound jump, now it's starting to be like 5 reps. And that 5th rep is starting to be really, really challenging. And that's specifically for a 5 rep max, right? But it, like, early on in this, I don't even want to call it a journey, right? But early on in setting that goal, the first month of this process, it was like 20-pound PR for that rep max, and it was super easy. Like that combination, and now it's starting to get like, sure, it's PR, but it's super grindy.
Yeah.
So now I'm at the point now where it's like, okay, throw in some variation. What you're doing at this point, like you have changed, but now you need to change again because it's starting to not work as good.
So, okay, so how do you then take to apply it to like the people that are listening or whatever, right? So, because I've thought about this in terms of rehab, which we've had the conversation about, is like if there's an individual that has an injury, that injury and the rehab from that injury is like a necessity that person needs to change the way that they train in order to rehab, otherwise the injury wouldn't have happened in the first place. But then when a person gets back to the point of being fully healthy, then it's like, okay, well now I'm just going to go back to what I was doing before, which is like, it's insanity, right?
Yeah.
But so I think what happens is like, an individual get done with the rehab, fully healthy, it's like, okay, what's the new target? And that's exactly what you were basically going through, is you were at that point where you don't have any injuries, right? Like you're doing pretty good, but there has to be a target, right? So how do you think about it, either one of you or both, whatever, how do you guys think about like, and Jarod, you can talk about yourself, or if you're working with a client, right? How do you think about using what he just talked about with that? Like how do you utilize that with the client or person that you're working with?
I think, well, it's important to like,
or even for them, like how should they, process that?
Like I have a quick saying that comes to my mind is like, choose your stress or the stress will choose you. So it's like, and when it's put that way, I want to control what I experience and what I'm going through. So I want to choose the challenge that I'm going to go through. So like practical example, now I want to make it to the big leagues. I want to average 95 miles an hour. I'm going to pursue that. But if I just stay at where I'm at, then it allows things like you get in season and like a knee pain issue could come up. Like it allows something to come up because I'm not actually moving to a new level. I'm kind of stagnant. And I guess you always say there are no flat lines.
There's no flat lines. Gravity acts all the time. It doesn't stop.
So that's how I would summarize it. At least in my mind, it's super easy. Whenever I give myself that phrase, it like is kind of like a reminder. Like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not the kind of person who just sits here and then like is playing defense all the time. Like that's not how I'm gonna make the big leagues, if I'm being honest with myself. And so I have to make the decision then to like, okay, like I'm gonna choose to go into this, whatever it is.
Yeah. So maybe we just found your new target, because we talked about this a little bit at lunch, where it's like, okay, 95 was your target, right?
Yeah.
That's done. So now the new target is like, okay, sit 90. What you just said was sit 95.
Yeah.
But so like what I want to pick apart there then is that is what we're saying. Like that is the point, is when you hit, whether it's you're coming back from rehab and you get healthy, or you hit the 95 or whatever that thing is, if you don't create what the new problem is, then there's going to be a problem that's created for you. So it's like, choose, do you want to like hold back and have, life, sport, whatever, like create that for you? Or are you going to say, I'm like staying on top of that, I'm going to set what it is that I'm going to do in the future because I'm creating my own problem. They're both stress. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you're either getting stress from something else or you are creating the stress for yourself. If you create the stress for yourself, then you control the stress. I don't know.
Yeah, no. What I was thinking about going off of that was, so just using clients as an example, there are a lot of clients who, especially now that the fall season is winding up for baseball, so a lot of my college baseball pitchers, mostly, some of them are hitters and position players, but for most of those guys, like I've simply had conversations with them about basically what you talked about is like create a problem, or a problem will be created for you. Mm-hmm. And I have had a conversation with them about, they say they want to get stronger. And so what I tell them is like, okay, we're going to get stronger in the weight room sense, right? Like we want the rebound bench to go up, the squats and stuff like that. We're going to push that as far as we can, so like that's our new problem, right?
Yeah.
And then we're actually going to go until that starts to become a problem.
Okay.
It makes sense? Where
yeah.
they start to become symptomatic.
Okay.
As in, like they get so strong they get tight.
Okay.
But it's at that point, like exactly, you did what you wanted to do.
Yeah, so then talk about how you handle that.
Yes.
Because like if there's a pitcher right now that's like, well, I don't want to get to the point where I feel tight.
Exactly.
How do you handle that? Yeah.
Yeah, and when I say like they feel tight, I don't mean that's like a state of being that they exist in for a month. I mean it's like, I just benched 305 for 6 all-time PR. I probably don't need to be pushing anymore. It's like, okay man, now we will do this. So if you look at what being tight is, and I think that's one thing that we do a really great job of, and the way we view the body and training and all that is that we take a very literal approach to it, right? So like if your body is tight, tightness means that your body is protecting you from getting into certain ranges of motion. So what we need to do is we actually need to train those ranges of motion that your body does not want to get into at a level you're prepared for, right? But also at a level of intensity to where it actually trains that tissue to be able to get into that range of motion. And it is very much a 1-to-1 ratio. Like it is so literal and simple. Mm-hmm. Like clients will text me all the time and say like, how do you want me to do this? Like, what should I feel when I'm doing, a 4-way or like a wrist
move, sure.
Right? And it's like, well, what are you doing? Okay, I'm going into flexion and extension. Okay, you should probably feel the muscles that pull you into flexion and extension. Like that is what you are doing. Mm-hmm. Don't overcomplicate it. And I think that symptoms and sensations in the body should be taken the very same way. Like we had this conversation about swelling, and how I've dealt with swelling in my knee, and how I've had this, big breakthrough lately with that stuff. So that's kind of like the conversation that we have with clients where create a problem that you want to solve.
Yeah.
And usually, like once you solve that problem, like you said, something else comes in. And then we handle it a different way, right? Because the solution we use to solve that first problem isn't going to be the same solution we use to solve the next.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. So like basically, just so that I can lay it out here, right? So the dude, he's in his fall season right now. You're like, okay, we're going to create a problem. Your new problem is we want to get to this performance outcome, right? And then once we get there, there's going to be a new problem that is created from that performance outcome. And then you handle whatever the problem is there.
Right.
And it made me think, like when I was going through the whole single leg depth drop experiment thing that I went through, right? I remember one specific time where I did one and literally like 2 weeks, it hurt for me to walk on my heel because of the way that I landed. Now I don't. They're just like, if we're really looking to actually push performance and be real about it, like there's going to be little things that come up, but that's the importance of understanding like what symptoms are for you.
Yes.
Because if you're afraid of that, then you're not going to want to push enough to actually make any progress. If you don't know how to handle that for yourself, like there's no way that you're going to be afraid to push into that. So I think I guess maybe then for both of you guys, explain to me, because I know how I do and I talk about it a lot, but for you guys, explain to me, how do you think about when you feel some type of symptom or sensation in your body? Are you afraid of that? If not, why not? And then what do you do?
If you want to go first, you can. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, so the sensations in my body, like I used to maybe like be afraid of, like I might get a twinge or like say like I've got valgus rope impulse. So I'm just trying to apply as much stress as I can to the inside of my elbow. And I'm doing 100 reps, and on rep number 5, I get a huge zing and my arm like shot. Like this actually happened to me this season.
And yeah, we'll like get the same feedback. Like I felt something on 3 of the reps.
And there was a time in my life where I would stop. But like now it's kind of like, oh, that was just that moment in time. Like I'm not afraid of this because I know, like I believe my body's more resilient. I've trained it. I have like a backlog of experience of like actually doing this shit, so that I'm not scared of like that one-off sensation. And I know this is just me personally, but because of the training that I'm doing, I feel confident in knowing that if I do get a sensation that isn't like very acute and alarming, I probably have several weeks before like anything serious were to happen. So like I am not in this like fight or flight stance because I have a system through which I know those things will kind of buffer out on their own because I'm training everything in my body.
Yeah, because that was going to be the next question. Because like, okay, so if we can get to the point where you feel a little sensation, and you know you have some time, that also doesn't necessarily mean that we just sit there and don't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Right. So then, how do you use the system or the training that we do to then work through that without making like major changes? What is your, and like when you're in a session, and what do you do? What is your actual doingness to address that?
I think relating this back to what we were just talking about, like the athlete that had pain and setting his own target, like I was just thinking, like if you were doing an exercise like bench press and your elbow hurt, and it's like the problem you have is that you're, like say you had an elbow injury, my bad. The problem is you have the elbow injury and you can't play any sport. And it's like you need to create a new problem, and that could be in the session trying to send stress to the arm, like intentionally go in and like, yes, I might feel something, but that is actually what I know is actually going to cause the adaptation so that it will be stronger. So it's allowing those sensations to be there, and also know that they can be, all these feedback and sensations are clues to help you like get the effect that you want to get out of the training. Like training doesn't necessarily like have to have like a one-off effect. Like you can create the effect you want through the training as well.
Yeah, I get that. So like, maybe break that down a little bit more with like a specific example. In effect, let's say that you are doing the impulse and you have a twinge in your elbow.
Well, I can speak to this specifically with like shoulder impingement symptoms. Like that happens occasionally throughout a season, just with like varying workload. Like sometimes I'll get that symptom, and there was a time where I would like sound the alarm and like ask for a day off from my coach, and like I'm proud that like I haven't had to do that in the last 3 years. I haven't, which is sick. So like if I'm having that feedback, like, and I'm doing like ER impulse from the ground, so I'm just pulling it up, and I do it and I get the feedback, then I literally am going to go in and say, okay, how can I do this exercise the very next rep so that I don't get that feedback? And with a little curiosity and creativity and just like being able to understand and command my body to do what I want, I can get into a position like physically, I know how to put my shoulder in a position to where it's centered, to where the muscles feel strong, and I can go as hard as I can. And it's like, it can be as simple as I have shoulder impingement symptoms that are present, and then I go into a session and I do 300 impulses. And it's like, well, before I had this belief that, oh, if I have pain, then it's like I just unilaterally have pain no matter what. but I learned how to kind of like modulate that. I had to like accept that, wait, maybe pain is like much more transient than I thought, and I can create the effect I want through that exercise.
Yeah, like you can go in and you can do the exercise differently to where you don't have it.
Yeah, I can change.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. How about you? And the question was basically, how do you view, or are you afraid of like symptoms, pain? If not, why not?
Yep.
And then how do you handle that specifically for yourself?
Yeah. Okay. So the first part of, can you repeat the first part, please?
Are you afraid of sensation?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
And the reason I'm not is because if you look at, well, we operate from one of our base beliefs of the body's never wrong. Every sensation or symptom is perfect or correct.
Mm-hmm. Supposed to be there.
And so let's think of examples of that. How do you know you need food? When you're hungry. How do you know you need sleep? When you're tired. How do you know you're not able to do something? It is very clearly communicated to you, right? And that is every single freaking time. Like that, the body never messes with that. You never question whether you have a sprained ankle or whether you blew your knee out or whether you broke your arm. Like you never question that ever. It's communicated to you. So that combined with also, what was the second part of the question?
So like so if you're not afraid of those things.
Yeah. Right.
What is giving you the ability to not be
Okay,
afraid
so
of
to
that?
finish off the answer to the first part, why I'm not afraid of those things is because the reason that we operate from that base of the body's response is perfect and correct, that is also combined with the body only heals, and every response is a healing response. So for example, if you cut your arm, it's not like your body just doesn't pay attention to that. Like as soon as you slice your skin open, there is blood there. The blood starts to coagulate and form a shell away from open air where bacteria could get in, right? And then a week later you have pinking skin. Like you didn't have to tell your body to do that. And so that is where the complete trust comes in. Like I think that's where the eye-opening, like red pill trust of the body comes in. Is usually I'll have that conversation with guys, and they're like, "Holy shit, I never thought about it like that." And so that is, we basically do the same thing with training. Like so a cut is physical tissue damage that requires a response from the body to heal that tissue damage.
Sure.
We do the same thing with training. Now, not to a level where there's actual damage in the sense of an injury, right? But it's a level of injury to a certain degree. Like people listening, bear with me. Like it's not an injury, right? But you incur a certain amount of damage that the body can come in and actually heal. It's not so much damage that the body cannot recover from that, right? So when you gain that full trust of your system, that every response in your system, it might not feel good. I'm not saying it feels good, like swelling and pain and all. Like it doesn't feel good, but when you understand that
And
is
it can
a
be
perfect
very
response,
inconvenient too.
without a doubt.
But
without
it's
a doubt.
supposed to be there.
Yes, it is. It is supposed to be there. And when you understand that is your body actually healing, and those are healing responses, and that response is completely correct, that is where the trust comes in. And then how you handle that is like going back to what I said about rehabbing injuries and how we incur a certain amount of physical tissue damage and all that. We had this conversation last night where like the way we train, I think, is very empowering. And the reason I say that is because, we will all have clients come to us and say that they had this specific tissue was damaged. They had this specific surgery. They had, screws put in this specific joint, right? Like all these things. And we're like, okay, that is data. What can you do? What can you not do? And that's really like all we care about to a certain degree,
Yeah.
And that's a great premise to operate from, because it doesn't really matter to a certain degree what specifically, like what that specific tissue is.
No, it's a really good point, because
Yes.
for me at least, the way that I process that aspect of it is, to some extent, regardless of what is wrong, the correct thing to do is still the same thing. It's just what is wrong will dictate to what level you can do it at.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So, like, if there's an individual that has an injury with their shoulder, training, moving, using their shoulder in all the different types of way that we can stimulate it is still the correct thing. Like, that is the correct thing to do for a healthy person. That is the correct thing to do for somebody that has some type of injury. All we're changing is to what level are you going to do that, and then like volume, like all the different little details and specifics. But the correct thing is still the correct thing, right?
Yeah.
Like even if I were to go to 3 different doctors and one says that I have a tear, one says that I have a partial tear, the other says I don't see anything. That person is still experiencing the exact same thing in terms of sensation, regardless of what those 3 doctors said. They did not, or whoever, like they did not give him the injury. The thing is already there, right? So it's like that is what I think that's what you're saying. Like that is what we work with.
Yeah,
is what your body presents.
You've covered this plenty about imaging and stuff, right? But it's one piece of the puzzle. And there was a high school girl one time that was asking me about. She went to a doctor because she was having back pain, and she asked me, you know, the doctor told her that she had scoliosis, and
I've been told I have scoliosis.
right, exactly.
On Instagram.
Yeah, and now this girl was a softball player.
Yeah.
One thing about high school girls sports is their volume is wild. Like they just get ran into the dirt all the time.
Softball's a lot, especially pitch.
Yes, exactly. She's pitcher and hitter, right? So anyway, like I asked her, I said, how many swings and throws do you think you've done in your life? And she's like, I don't know, thousands. And I was like, yeah, probably hundreds of thousands at this point, right? And so if you look at what a swing or a throw is, your spine can move in 6 directions. You're probably, at one point, you're moving through all of those 6 directions at light speed. Is your back going to look like how someone's back in a textbook looks? Probably not. You know, like that is one piece of data. Versus, what can you do? What can you not do? Let's get you back to full function. Oh, you can't laterally flex your spine? Okay. Let's figure out how to do that. Like the pathology or the diagnosis doesn't matter to a certain degree.
Yeah.
So how I handle that personally is like I said, I've developed really good trust with my body based on the reasons I already explained. But going back to what I said earlier about taking those responses very, very literally. So he and I had this conversation last night, but every once in a while when I do quote unquote too much, right? Like there's no such thing as too much.
I mean, if I try to drop off,
no, I know.
I'm saying
objectively.
Yeah.
There's no such thing, right?
Okay.
It comes down to what is too much for you.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, like when I get in this period where I'm really rolling, I will develop like swelling in my knee that I had surgery on 10 years ago.
Okay.
Right? And so if you look at what swelling is, right? Swelling is literally your body putting fluid in there so you can't enter ranges of motion. Which means if that is there, you must have entered those ranges and not have been prepared for those. So then there is an inflammatory response that has followed.
Sure.
So I used to deal with swelling, like I've had this evolution of how I've dealt with this problem. And it used to be more of a passive modality before where I was really in it, and I'm not, like I don't believe in passive modalities at all. I think if you need cupping or scraping, and if you think you need that, I think you're done for already. Unless you can make a change right there and then, you're done.
Sure.
Because you're not listening to what the body's telling you. And if you don't listen, the body's going to keep sending you more and more powerful signals until you have to listen. You know, something usually snaps or pops and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But so like the first way I would deal with the swelling was I would literally like put my legs up on the wall and stay there until like the swelling would drain pretty much. And like have a compression wrap on there, like squeeze it out and stuff like that. And then after that, you know, I was like, man, I just don't even believe in doing this anymore. Now, like, so then I would start doing 300 to 500 joint moves a day. And it would feel better for like an hour, and then the swelling would kind of return. And so now I have had this, you know, realization, like I said, I'm trying to take everything very literally. And with that swelling, basically my body's saying, you're not prepared to enter those ranges of motion. And so now I'm doing what we do with rehab, where I'm actually putting myself in an environment where the body doesn't need to protect. It doesn't need to provide more swelling because I keep entering an environment I'm not prepared for. But then I'm also hitting that stimulus that I'm doing at a level to where it's intense enough to drive adaptation. And so combining those two, I've seen more progress than I have in 10 years.
Yeah.
When it comes to like opening that knee up.
Yeah.
Just because I looked at swelling for what it really was. I didn't look at it as a bad thing. I didn't attach any emotion to it. I was like, okay, you know, I must have done something here too.
Yeah, it's a signal, it's a symptom, and it's nothing more, it's nothing less. It's something to utilize.
Yeah, and it's something that needs to be handled. Needs to be.
Yeah.
You know, like when you sprint, you enter max knee extension and max knee flexion very, 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 very rapidly. And so if you are not able to move that knee joint through full range, there's obviously going to be compensations. And as we talked about with long duration holds or slow lowers or anything like that, like compensations lead to fatigue. And if you apply that to sports, if something fatigues in a throw or something like that, then usually there's other compensations around that and something goes down. Eventually, right? Like compensation and fatigue usually leads to loss of position or something like that, and you at the end of the day you usually end up with injury at the end of the road. So
yeah, if it's intense enough, or if
that's just my example of how I have looked at it and changed and dealt with it.
Okay.
I have one more thing on like why we're not afraid of these sensations. Like again, very plainly, I want to pitch in the big leagues. Like that's my goal.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to pitch in the big leagues. Can I pitch in the big leagues if I'm injured? No.
Objectively, no, you cannot.
I can't throw a pitch. I can't play a game. I can't play a game in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
Or in Sunday rec league.
Yeah, like
I'm injured. So if you're injured, you can't play. And then it's like these sensations are literal clues that your body is giving you on how you can stay healthy. Like, hey, like this isn't something you should be afraid of. This is actually something you should take note of and address. And so it's like if you're watching this and you have a goal, you want to play in the big leagues. Like for me, I'm like, well, why would I ever ignore these and or be afraid of them? It's actually a gift in a way. Like my body is working with me. And like you said, it makes me feel empowered that I'm not offloading this trust to someone else and just hoping that they have good intentions, that they're giving me all their effort and attention, and that it's actually true and that they learn the right information. I'm actually just trusting the information my body's giving me, like layer one from the source. It's not having to be like communicated from a staff member to me like, oh, well, it looks like your elbow is strained. And it's like, well, I can have the sensation and kind of take inventory of that myself.
You can feel it, experience it, and be there with it yourself.
Yeah, and like I'm much more data rich, like scene than someone just kind of like palpating it and being like, I think.
See, that's interesting that you said like data rich.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would be the exact opposite of how like operating this way would be viewed. Because I feel like opposing argument to that would be like, well, you need more data. You need what the image is. You need what this test says. You need what this opinion is. You know what that opinion is. But what you're saying, at least if I understand it right, is like you're getting the data from you. Like you have the data that you need.
Yeah.
And that's what you're using. That's like
very clearly.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a different. At least I think that's such a different perspective than how most operate. Because like, if you're an athlete, if you're an individual, and as soon as you feel something, you're like, okay, well, I need to go ask somebody what this is, right? Which is what happens 90% of the time. If you can get to the point, or like this, at least for me, this is the goal that I have with DAC and with what it is that we do. Not only the training, but also the education. Because both of you guys now have gone through the education portion, and we're working on getting that better set up so that we can take more people through it. But you guys have both gone through that. And I think that adds a whole nother layer, because now when you're doing a slow lower, when you're doing an impulse, or even if you're doing something that is a move that isn't our training, like whatever, you still now have the data of this is exactly what you said, the data-rich data that you get from your body, from your own system, and you can use that. Just like completely different than, well, you're going to go see the trainer on Monday, and then you're going to go get an MRI, and then you're going to go see whoever on Wednesday, and then like you're going to be told what you have, and you're going to be told what the best option is.
Yeah, I was always super happy during those time periods. Psych, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because it's just like straight fear and unknowingness, right? If something is unknown, if I am told that when you have pain, even if I look it up on Google, like if I have pain and I'm told like I have this whatever, osis, I have tendinitis, osis, whatever, right? Like I have this thing and it's just this thing that I have to have, and I have to take these things in order to get rid of this or to handle it. I'm at complete effect of that thing. And so how would I not be in fear, right? But if the person, like if the person can understand that this is where these things come from and that you can actually change those, that's a whole different perspective. Now I will say like there's obviously data and information that you need to do that. Like you guys can do that much better because you have different education, different information that you use, which is different than what you probably had before. So like there's just that change in process of education and knowingness that I think really helps to create that. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. I was just gonna say, like, I totally agree like you were talking about and really explaining the sensation of like why it happens. Like as an athlete, I personally think it's super beneficial for you to know that, because if you just have an injured event and it's not connected to anything, it's a totally natural response to want to outsource that and get someone to give you that information. But also like do your due diligence to like see if that checks with you, like respect your own intelligence and kind of seek that out. And that's like ultimately how I got here with Brady, is a lot of it made sense and I could like experience that it was also true. So like it made sense cognitively as I learned about it, and then it also like experientially made true as well.
Yeah, like our goal is, or my goal, I'll just speak for myself. My goal is not to tell somebody to do something because it's right, or because I said so. It's like this is create an experience and then allow that person to take in their own kind of data and information, right? And I think when something is true, like the way that I always think about it is, if I take an apple and I drop it, and I do that 1,000 times, it's going to drop, and it's going to drop every single time. You don't have to tell me that that drops. I can objectively see that it drops. So that is what I for myself strive to create with myself in training, then also like in the way that all this is put together, whether it's the training or it's the education, etc., so that every single person, like you can look at, it's an apple and it drops. Oh, I hit my hand with a thumb or with a hammer. Hit my hand with a hammer, and there is pain there every single time, right? Or I do this specific thing with my tissue, and there's pain there every single time. Or I do something different, and there's not pain there every single time. It's like to create that for each individual themselves. Of I can see when this apple drops, it falls every time, because then there's no convincing. It just is.
Yeah.
If it's true, and it will work every single time.
Yeah, and I think you're saying the same thing I was saying earlier about like how we apply things in a very literal sense. You know, like an impulse. An impulse is basically like apply a metric for a single joint in one of the directions the joint can move. That's all it is, right? It's nothing more fancy than that.
Yeah.
And just I wanted to say one thing about like sensation real quick, and because we've said sensation and symptoms and stuff like that. Just for the people listening, like the goal that we have is for the training for you to experience or to be willing to experience as much sensation. I don't really know as you can handle or like as possible.
Yeah, it's like you're not gonna be able to experience something that you're not willing to experience.
Yes, so it's like to actually, to get you to open your mind up to be willing to experience something that will produce a much more powerful adaptation. Now, we do not want that to happen in the game, right? Like that's a very important distinction. Is we formulate the training to make the game to where
there is no sensation.
There's no sensation, right? Like for example, if you're holding a lunge ISO, the first 5 seconds, the first 10 seconds, the first 30 seconds, there is no sensation because you're doing a level of work you can recover from, and that's what we want the game to be, is a level of work you can recover from. Now we want training to be the same thing, right? But we want training to be so much more filled with sensation and with symptoms.
Training is how you learn, right?
Yes.
Training is how you learn to do that, to apply to your sport. Because so the objective, at least this is the way that I process it, right? Is the objective is basically to always, or to strive for zero sensation, zero feedback. Because feedback is telling me that there's something that's off that needs to change. There's something that needs attention. If there's no feedback, then I'm absolutely fine with what I'm doing. There's no reason to change anything. So that is, the target is that. But with training, we want to set a target of we learn how to do that at a new level. Because if I were to go train and never ever experience anything or feel anything, I already know how to do that thing that I'm asking myself to do. So what are we doing? What's the point of training that we're doing, right?
Right.
So we want to, within training, the reason that we have sensation, the feedback, etc., is because we're learning how to recover at a different level, and we want that to be high enough to where, like you said, you go into your game, you go to your performance, and there is no need for sensation or feedback. Yeah. And I'll say too, like this is, I mean, like you have your trips and like you go to different levels and like you don't have perfect food, you don't have perfect sleep, right? So this is all our most ideal, right? Is zero sensation. Like that's what we're working towards. It's not to say that you need to be worried if you're having sensations, because like I have sensations, you guys have sensations. Well, and like, it's the process of learning how to process those and use them.
I want those in training. Like I love that. And I think this kind of circles back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier with how do we handle symptoms and the trust in the body and all that stuff. But like I love learning what I need to go work on. Like I thoroughly enjoy that. If I'm in a deep push-up ISO and 2 minutes in or 3 minutes in, like my core is working, or I'm feeling burning or sensation in my core. I feel a lot in my quads or my tips.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's where because my upper half, I feel like I could go for 15 minutes, but
sure.
then. Right, but like that is literal data that I can now take and apply to move me to where I want to go. If I have this goal of doing a deep push-up iso for 15 minutes, and 2 minutes in, my tips are burning, I'm gonna be like, okay, this is my limiting factor. Like this is something I know that is truthfully or like true. This is true that this.
You
is
can
stopping.
objectively experience it for yourself.
Yes. So like, we've just said a lot about symptoms and sensation. I did want to bring that point up. Is like we don't want you to feel like that in your sport or in your life. We want your training to feel like that. That way you can go experience life or sport fully and not have to like it doesn't deplete you so much that you feel the need to like recover from it.
Yeah. No,
that's the only reason I want to say
It's a good distinction. It's good because we're not looking like to have you go throw and just feel your elbow.
Be depleted.
Like,
Yeah.
that's the whole reason that we train is to not do that.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then next question. And this, we've hit it on a little bit, but as far as volume goes, because this is a question that I get a lot of like, okay, how much am I going to be required to do? Or how much am I going to be asked to do? How do you guys deal with volume? Do you feel like it's a lot of volume? Is it more volume that you've done in programs or in things in the past? If it is, why does it work? Why do you use it? Like, give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, yes, it's a lot of volume. But by design, obviously, like as we've just talked about, it makes the game feel easier to me. Like actually showing up and doing my main session before I start the day, like, and it's in season. Then I go play catch, and then I shag batting practice, and then I do my secondary before the game or finish it after the game. But it's like all of that stuff I found is what actually allows me to continue to do this and pursue the new level that I'm trying to do. Like, if I weren't doing that, and there have been times where, like, I've withdrawn a little bit, and like you said, I immediately have felt the effects of that. My body felt bad, I felt disengaged, and like, from there, the very next thing you need to do is get right back in. And so I feel like in season, like, I've had to learn what that means, like, more fully, and like, how that actually applies to me. Because like I saw what it was like when I felt a little overworn and got away from it, or I quit training with you for a little bit and don't do the training, and then I noticed the effects that not doing all this volume, because that's what it takes to train your whole body. Not doing that also had an effect on me that was negative, and my performance declined.
So how do you get past the mental thought of like, or maybe the reality that I feel like a lot of people probably have is that more work means that I'm going to be more tired? How is that not true?
Experience it for yourself. Like I had one session. I was just talking about this earlier. It was like one of the very first sessions I did with Brady, and it was like 3 sets of 100 impulses on my shoulder, and I did that after I threw a bullpen, max effort for 30 pitches. So like max effort bullpen, 30 pitches, generally. Average person, you could expect to be sore. You just ripped as hard as you could. Your arms moving like as fast as they can. And I woke up the next day and had no soreness. And I was like, hold on 1 second. How does this make sense? Yeah. And then from there, it was just like being open to saying like, well, I know where I'm at isn't where I want to be. So if I'm going to go to a level where I'm not currently at, then I may have to do things that like I haven't done before. And that may mean lifting for an hour and a half and then getting another hour session in later in that day. And those secondary sessions, like it may seem like a lot to go in at 8 or 11:30 p.m. and pursue 405 drop catch or rebound bench.
It's going a little slow, guys. We'll get there.
But it's like once you see the target, you get hungry for it, and you realize that this is actually making ground to it. You have that sense of self-efficacy and like a sense of productivity towards that goal. Yeah. Like it kind of is enticing. You're like you feel momentum. Like we kind of talked about that earlier, this trip as well. But yeah, like I feel like experience it for yourself, and then also like really keying in on what is it that you actually want. Like also helps like kind of like drive that through. Being willing to experience that.
Okay. Yeah. And how do you I mean, because I'll go through this. Like, if there's, or at least for myself, there's a lot of stuff that I do in a day, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes it will feel like I don't know how to get all this done, and I'll feel overwhelmed. So like, how do you keep that in the front of your mind of what is it that you're actually, like, what is it that you're actually, do you just personally have a mechanism that you use, like, how do I keep in front of mind that I'm going for sitting 95, even though I have all these things that I have to get done that are very difficult? How do you keep that as greater than the stress of what it feels like you have to do? I know how I do it for myself, and I can talk about that, but I want to ask you first. I
think it's just like being present, being where my feet are.
That's literally what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like, that's crazy. We were on the same place.
Yeah.
It's just like not distracted. Like, I've noticed like things distract me. Like, we had some interesting conversations the other night, and about things that are just like, it feels like it's addicting, but I realize it doesn't serve me. And so it's like realizing it's just a process. Like, I'm not gonna say like the goal is to be perfect today.
No.
But definitely the goal is to go in the direction you want to go. And so like I've wrestled with that, where it's like, well, it's not perfect. Like, man, screw this. Like, and I mean, that's just not that's forsaking your ultimate goal. Like, ultimately, when you do that.
Perfect is like the no sensation. When you get there, you're done. Like as far as growth, right? If it's perfect, then you're not feeling anything, you're not experiencing anything, and like, well, that means that you're not pushing into anything, right? So there's no growth there, you know?
It would be like you had just rehabbed an injury.
Yeah.
So it would kind of suck, because then there wouldn't be another level to push to.
Right, like you have to set that new level to push to.
Yeah.
So what about you? Like, I know volume king.
Yeah.
But how do you? Anything to add there?
I think volume is. I think one thing that is misconstrued about volume is that it applies to one singular thing, such as reps in a set. That is one thing, yes, but volume can also be time. Volume can also be. Give me some other ideas here. So we got reps, we got time. What else we got?
I mean, volume could be, it could be even outside of training. It's just like the overall level of input that you would give yourself that would come in.
Yeah, and I'm just going to keep this simple for like in training.
Yeah.
Right? So we got load, we got reps, we got time, we got a combination of all those different things put together.
Yeah.
Right? So
even intensity, how much you know how to invest yourself into it. Yeah.
Without a doubt. And so if you look at training, we train to drive adaptation, right? And one of the principles or the truths that we operate from is that human beings at our base level, we are an organism. And all an organism wants to do is survive. Yeah. So if we are going to formulate our training to train an organism, and all an organism wants to do is survive, then to drive adaptation in an organism, we have to challenge survival. And
sorry, we do.
And yes, we do. I say that too. And whenever I have that conversation with dudes on our first call, and they're like, well, some of the stuff you guys do is pretty intense. It's like, well, bro, don't you want to be able to do intense shit? You know what I mean?
Like that's the reason that you started.
Exactly, yeah. So, I think volume is one of the ways that you can use it to actually challenge survival and therefore drive adaptation. So, for example, if I'm doing a shoulder external rotation impulse, right? After 25 reps, I may not have gotten the effect I've wanted to of, let's say I'm going for, trying to recover as I work, right? And we've had this conversation a lot, but the volume it takes to actually get that feel, for me, I've experienced a literal feeling of it, and other people, you have too, right? Where, let's say I'm doing 500 reps of that shoulder external rotation impulse, and I start fatiguing out at rep 200, right? And then I get to 250, and now it's like easier than it was at the beginning. Like, I literally just recovered as I worked. You know what I mean? But I never would have gotten there if I would have done sets of 50, sets of 100. I would have never actually challenged survival to the point where an adaptation took place in real time. And so that's why I fell in love with crazy high volumes, was because I experienced in real time my system recovering as I worked. And so I was like, okay, I can hit this really, really challenging workout. And my mind says theoretically I'm good now, I'm recovered. You know what I mean? Now I know I know unfortunately.
What do you mean now, because we trained earlier? Is that what you meant? Or
no, I mean that's just kind of how I view it, man.
Okay. Like when you're done training, you're still
yeah,
good.
like I'm good. I can do it again. If I needed, like that was a hard leg day, sure. But like if I needed to, let's do it again.
Yeah.
And
if you can't, then there's something to be learned.
Exactly. And
that, maybe that's sorry.
No, you're good. I was just saying that the only way that realization came true for me was the crazy high volumes. Like the only way I built that trust in that, the only way I actually built a system capable of recovering was by working.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that was the only way it clicked for me. That was the only way, was the crazy high volume.
Because you don't know how.
Exactly.
And like the way that you learn how to do something is through quantity, right? Because you're gonna try like you're gonna deep push up, you're gonna lunge, you're gonna try to figure it out, and you're gonna fail.
Well, and you've talked about this too with baseball, and the injury epidemic going on with baseball, and I'm sure you can take over with this, but 30 years ago, or 30 or 40 years ago, right? I'm not a baseball historian, but everybody threw 80, and those dudes would throw 200 pitches a game.
Yeah.
And now everybody throws 102, and everybody blows their arms out, right? So like, where's the disconnect? Because it's complete opposite ends of the spectrum, and baseball is a game of crazy high output and also crazy high volume. And it's like, so your training needs to reflect that. Like, can you actually go do crazy high volumes of tasks that are high output as well? And
Intensity
can you not
plus.
have a response to that?
Yeah.
And that's what you're training for, because that's what the freaking sport is.
Yeah.
And if you want to go ahead and jump in here.
I also just want to say, like, I just learned about Seth and his story. Like, he was waking up at 4 a.m. to lift, and then going and working construction all day, and then doing secondaries after.
I will say the secondaries were a breeze. Like when I knew that my lower day was done at 4 a.m. and my construction day was over, I was like, I got 75 impulses, I'm chilling.
And you're not doing like a light intensity, like you're getting after it. You're squatting 300 plus 400 pounds, deadlifting heavy, benching heavy, working all day, and then going to secondary. So it's like, oh, if that's possible, like, should I be okay with just lifting for 45 minutes if I have this goal, or like, am I leaving more on the table? And also like the high volume, like you were talking about, just accelerating the learning curve, like you wouldn't have otherwise learned it. Literally, if I had something going on in my scap and I was doing like just high volume, whatever, joint moves, impulses, rapid reps, whatever it was, going for that high volume, it's like, okay, say I'm doing 500 reps, 300 reps in a session. How long would it take, not doing this program, like I was standard, whatever that is, to get accrue that same amount of volume? It's like you're compressing time into one session.
Literally.
So I'm literally like making 3 weeks of gains in one day. Like whenever I go and I do like a single leg broad jump, like takeoff, and I'm gaining like 1.5 feet of distance in a session, because it's like continue to go until you can't go any further. Keep finding ways to continue to go further. And it's like, I'll find these little things that allow me to get an extra 3 or 4 inches. But if I was just doing broad jumps 3x5 or 2x5, like I'm probably not learning that at the same rate as just this high volume.
Yes, and we talked about that on our way to train earlier today, this morning. We talked about rest, right? And I thought of this because of what you mentioned with time. Like, if an athlete or a person, whatever, if they have an injury or they have something that's wrong, or they have a little tweak, or they're tired or whatever, let's say if I just put myself in there, if I'm reliant on rest to recover me, I'm reliant on time, because rest cannot take place without time. Time has to pass to have rest. Like, that's basically what rest is you're not doing anything for a period of time. I'm reliant on time. If I can utilize actual work and doing this in action to take and recover my system to where whatever it is that is off with my body, etc., I can take and I can handle that through the work that I'm doing, I can now compress time, and now I have control over time. I'm not effective time, I can be in control of time, and I can compress that. Right? So that level of then, because I know you've mentioned before, you want to be able to, if you need to be able to go throw in a game 6-7 days a week, 5, 6, 7 days a week.
Yes, and it'd be sustainable.
Yeah, if you're reliant on rest, that, like, how does that work? Because you can't be like, okay, I'm going to insert 8 hours for myself that no one else has that is going to give me the time to rest.
Yeah.
Like, until we figure out how to do that.
Like pause.
Yeah, like, hey, pause it for everybody else. I'm going to take 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to restart it for everybody else. Like, that's not possible.
Yeah.
So then it becomes, how do we actually compress time? And how do we more like create time? How do we create that 8 hours by actually doing work without there being 8 hours there?
And I think it also like it compresses time and it changes time. Like I've had athletes talk about like tissue accommodation. So like certain tissues recovering at a certain speed compared to other tissues. And yeah, that's true. Like certain tissues regenerate at a different speed than other tissues, but that's all an average. Like you can become someone who recovers faster than whatever value it is that they say like that tissue grows at.
Yes.
Like you can learn to recover at a greater rate so that like you don't have to be like, well, there's nothing I can do. Like it's gonna take 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like you can have an effect on that.
Yes, 100%. Like you can feel, you can experience it, you can put yourself in a position where you create. This is what gets me fired up and excited. Is like, cause with studies, I'm like, well, study me, you know, or like study me, motherfucker, like whatever, right? Because if you can feel, you can sense, and you can experience your system, your body, your tissues, can you not go in and manipulate that a little bit to like put it in a different position so that it can have a different response than somebody else would? That would be more effective or more efficient or whatever, right? So you can like, at least the way that I view it is I can create recovery if like the better that I can feel, understand, sense, and know my own body, my own system, I can create better recovery for myself. And that's why the way that I approach it is not to like, obviously we're providing programming, but it's not like telling you to do this just because it's what we say to do. It's with the intent for you to be able to figure it out for yourself of how to manipulate yourself.
And circling back to the volume thing.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the only way to get someone, you said it's a journey, right?
Yeah.
And you said it's an experience.
Yeah.
And when we went through our coaching pack, we defined an experience,
7
right?
months.
And an experience is, you know, there's an emotional investment into an experience as well. There's thoughts and feelings and emotion.
Everything that could be in that.
Exactly. And so sometimes the only way to actually create a literal experience in training is to produce or to program very, very high volumes.
Difficult things.
Yeah, because like like I said, if you're in a deep push-up ISO for 30 seconds, like you're not actually going to have to confront that emotion that would stop you if you were in it. If like there's something that causes you to fail, right? And
it's like first 30 seconds, like let's say that this is you in the 5 minutes, your barriers don't start until here. First 30 seconds, you don't even get to the barrier, so what growth are you going to have?
And how are you going, and so if you never get to that barrier, then you are never presented or you never figure out a solution to overcome that barrier. And so I just want to circle back to the high volume thing. And that's why we do it, is like, it's not about we're telling you to do that because we think it's the right thing to do. It's like, sometimes that is a literal necessary thing to actually provide you with the experience that will get you to where you want to go.
Yeah, and believe it. Like, it's up to the person, like you said, experience it for yourself if you want, kind of thing, you know? So let me ask them next, because is there a time where you shouldn't do where you shouldn't, like, where more volume is not better? What is the line, what is the line between, you know, what is productive and what is not productive? Like, I have my own thoughts, how do you guys process that and where you're at right now? Is there a time where there's too much?
You can take over. I'll just go real quick. I on one time I think I literally hurt myself from doing too much volume. Or more than I was ready for. Right. It was too much for me.
Yeah, exactly.
But like there was one day I was in college and I was one of your clients.
Yeah.
And probably after a year of being your client, like I would do my own shit for 3 hours a day as well.
In addition.
And I loved it. Like I just loved every second. And there was one day, like you gave me a lower day, and we had this road trip, and so I didn't have access to a gym for 3 days, so it was just like joint moves, impulses, long duration work. So I got back in town to where I had a gym and did the lower day you gave me, and then after that, I think I did like 4 sets of 25 of weighted 2-way barbell torso, and then I did like all the upper slow lowers, and then did some more lower impulses, and then went through live ABs, and like after 15 pitches, like tweaked my lat. Do you remember having to rehab that lat?
I think so.
Yeah. And
when you're at Seth?
It was at that D2 I went to.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And so I'm pretty sure that was from doing too much that day.
Yeah. So then what is the point then? Right, because what I also don't want to get to communicate is like, well, we're just going to slam it with volume and it does not matter where you're at. Because I have dudes that, like, we're going to train from 45 minutes to 60 minutes, like 5 times a week.
Yeah.
Right? So what is your?
Yeah. So let me circle. So
Yeah.
then the way that we handle that or look at is circling back to what we talked about earlier, how the signals communicated to you from the body are always perfect and correct. Like your body will tell you if you did too much, and so then you listen to that right then and there. Like I'm about dropped an F-bomb because this is what like it's so literal and it's so perfect, man. And it's such an unbelievable meat suit that we live in that like we are literally a supercomputer that's like a biological supercomputer that we encode software into, you know, and sometimes that software we put in, the computer's like, hey, we can't do that yet. And then we don't listen. It's like, why the hell don't we listen? This thing is so perfect that it tells us it needs food without even speaking words to us. Like that is the most amazing, mind-blowing thing on planet Earth.
It's like a direct line.
And we're not going to trust it? That doesn't make sense. So for me, like it circles back to actually having the ability to know what the body is saying when it has a response. So like I do too much volume, there is a response from the body that I don't like, because sometimes the response is like, dude, I feel like a house. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I could kill somebody. Yeah. And it's like, okay, keep doing what you're doing if you feel like that, right? But if you have a response,
but don't kill anybody.
Yeah, if you have a response that you know is not going to get you to where you want to go, then that is on you to make an adjustment right there. Okay. And I think that's where we come in, is like we actually have the knowledge or
how
to get you from where you're at right now to where you want to go.
Yeah. So it's not always just like pile.
Yeah. No,
there's context.
Like, yeah,
100%.
Yeah, there's communication there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's been times where like I'd send Brady a text, hey, I'm fried. But usually I'll say, this is how I know how much volume is too much volume. And first I should preface by saying there's not a unilateral statement that says like everything's got to be high volume. It's not.
Exactly.
So then it becomes your performance. Like, hey Brady, my velo is down this whole week. Can we, like, maybe my body needs a break, we need to change it. So it's like, we're not doing high volume for the sake of high volume. And also, like, just to challenge a little bit the sensations, it's like, well, there's going to be sensations that, like, tell us to stop all the time.
Yeah.
So how do you know that when you're at a level of a ton of volume, the sensation that's telling you to stop is, like, one that you should honor after you've...
So what is that?
And so what I say is it's because, well, we're not... The point isn't just, like, to go up as high as you can. The point is to like to increase the performance of like what it's after. Like, so for me, I'm an athlete, grounded to that. It's like that's what I'm after. Like, I'm pursuing this goal. I need performance in the game. I want to stabilize performance in the game above all else. This is a tool for how I do it. And sometimes that may mean a lot of volume and more volume. And sometimes it may mean, hey, back off, performance is dropping. So it's just like like,
it's a really good point.
And that therefore in and of itself that's a response too, right? Like the performance dropping, the output's dropping. That's a literal response from the body too.
Yeah. Because like if our objective with you or for you was just like we need Jarod to do as much as he possibly can, that is a completely different objective towards like exactly what we said, throw 90 or sit 95 and be able to throw 6 to 7 times a week. So the point, very good point. Like it's not we use high volume as a tool. Or low volume as a tool, really. Like the reason I brought up high volume is because I think that's a question that I get a lot, is because we do a good amount of volume. There's a specific reason for it, but it's to feed into your performance.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then we're completely off target. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really good point. Okay. So I want to ask, what do you guys get out of the training that is not physical?
I mean, like, can I say like, it's hard to put a percentage on it because our body is as much physical as it is, like not like I'm me, and and like I believe like I exist beyond the physical. Okay. So like even just like mental, like I guess I'm not gonna call that like muscles, right? So that'd be non-physical, like my psychology. Okay. So like I can see the effects of my psychology. Like I spoke earlier about having taken a break from doing DAC programming and seeing the effect it had on me. So like elaborating more on that is it was just like choose your stress or your stress will choose you. It's like when you do DAC and the first thing you have is a 5-minute push-up slow lower from deep. You have to address that question like immediately. So
like what the question of
like this is what I want to do, but also you're proving to yourself like who it is that you're trying to be.
Okay.
Like you're affirming the reality that you want to be true for yourself. Like you're not lowering yourself. Like, because you could do the 5 minute and you could tap out way beyond like your true potential of what you could do.
So then what does that do for you outside of physical adaptations?
Okay. Yeah, so what does it do for me? Like I take that, like specifically like doing that exercises gives me tools that I can apply to life. So it's like, what am I doing? I'm doing a slow lower. I need to be fully invested in this one experience, like fully engaged my whole being. And then that to me feels like, it feels so exhilarating whenever I do it correct. Like, and I get that. It feels exhilarating. I'm juiced. I have a bunch of energy and a bunch of life, and I feel like awake. My eyes are open. And so taking that into life, like when I was working at the coffee shop, dude, I was a beast. Like I was on top of it. And I was just locked in. I was also super caffeinated. But I will say, like, I feel...
How caffeinated? Sorry, I had to ask.
How
many cups?
So for the viewers, I'm going to go milligrams. I got it down to milligrams. In season, at the coffee shop, I'd probably get like 500 to 600 milligrams of caffeine, which is like 2 bangs.
Okay, wow.
That's a lot.
Okay. After it, dude.
Okay, yeah, it's getting after it.
And then in season, depending on the scenario, I'd probably get like 300 milligrams a day, but there have been days where I've pushed like 8 to 9.
8 to 900 milligrams?
Yeah. Where it was just like, I knew I was going to throw this day, and we were just talking about caffeine. That's a side point.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so
about the slower.
Yeah, coffee shop.
And so mentally, I just feel like from the slower specifically, it has an effect on how I'm being other than my physical tissue. Like I can move my tissue better. After that, like you do the push up slower, and then you're like, wow, dude, I can just flex my elbows so well.
Yeah.
So there's a physical effect, but also a mental effect of like, dude, in order to be in that for 5 minutes, like you can't be distracted. You have to like continually be intentional about how you're cueing yourself and being in that exercise. It's like, okay, well then, how can I be intentional about how I'm cueing myself and being in this moment, like working at the coffee shop, or being at home with my wife, or in this podcast, and being engaged in the conversation. So it's like, to such a high level, it teaches you what that feels like, so that you can take it into the rest of your life as well.
And what did you notice when because you mentioned a point where like you didn't have that as much. What happened? Like,
it felt like I allowed myself to be more concerned with things that had negative effects on me and weren't concerned with me. So like, at this time, like I was released, or I wasn't released, I was dev-listed. And it's just an unfortunate situation. Like you're unsure what the dev list is. Like in baseball, that means like you're traveling with the team, but you can't play. So like you get to walk around.
Development list, right? Is what it's
development list.
Okay.
And it basically means you're just not on the active roster, so it's just not a fun situation where you get to see everyone else do the thing that you want to do and have fun, and then you just have to be there and watch them do it. And so, like I felt like in that moment, like I could have been more focused on my goal, but I allowed myself to kind of get distracted and focus on the things around me and the effect they were having on me.
That's so interesting, because literally like if we go back to the slower deep push-up example, when you start to feel the sensations, you feel those things, like the way that I think about it, right, is like if you have your intent that's on a line here, those sensations that come up when you're in there are like these things that are attempting to like hit you and pull you off that line. Just like what you just mentioned is when you're outside of the slow, like when you're in life, there's other things that had the ability to pull you off that line, and you're more prone maybe to get pulled off that line because like that, you weren't staying on the line, literally.
Yeah.
You know?
And so I feel like the training specifically, like by frequency also, like it has an effect on you. Like it builds momentum, and like it becomes easier. It becomes a skill that you wield more effectively. If that makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for me, how I apply it to life is
or just like benefits that you notice outside of your physical.
Yes, right. Yeah. Outside the training. I'm trying to think about how I can phrase this. Basically, like I think it's funny how we always say like we train for life, right? And how metaphorical like the actual physical training is when it comes to applying to your life. So, like an example I'll use is I almost think of my life in the same way as I think of training, where like you said in the slow lower, like there are things that are trying to pull me off. And so like I'll have a plan that day to go to the bank and go to the store and do these things. And if I don't do them, when I said I was going to do them, now they become literal weight, right? And so like the slow lower, the whole point of a slow lower is to actually not resist, because if you resist load, if you resist gravity, you fatigue out. But if you pull with gravity, then you are able to recover as you work, right? So like that's how I apply it to my literal life outside of training, is understanding that there are things that I want to do that if I do not do them actually weigh me down and provide resistance. And the way to actually get rid of that resistance, so like I can operate how I want to operate, is to take care of it and get it done, deal with it, and do the thing, you know? So it like comes back to being present, right? Like being very, very present. But it becomes literal weight to me, you know, like, and then we've also talked about this trip a lot, how when you do something you know you shouldn't do, so like inaction can also be counted as an action you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So like when you commit something you didn't want to do, then it causes you to pull back, and then slowly become this person that doesn't have any trust in themselves to do something they think they are, or to do something they know would better them, but now they don't have any trust to where they actually don't think they're capable of doing that thing. You know what I'm saying? So like all those things like that are trying to pull me off, if I don't handle those immediately, like it becomes weight and it actually starts to wear me down.
And you pull back more.
Right.
That's a good metaphor too.
Yeah.
Slow
Yeah.
lower.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like training literally is like it's so metaphorical when it comes, like when you really look at it, right? Like we operate from a system of efficiency. We want to build efficiency in our system. Well, in our life, like we want everything to go in one direction. And if there are things that are starting to pull you off of that, then you are operating from a system of inefficiency. And so like you can go 10 different ways with it.
It's
right?
such a good point, because
It's
it could be a
wild.
person.
Yeah.
Like there's a person that you know who the person is. That like every time that you talk to that person, it pulls you off what you feel it is that you want to do. Right. That's like a sensation. That's a symptom. It's a sensation. Symptom is still lower.
Exactly.
Like handle that. You know.
I couldn't agree more, man.
Yeah.
I really couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So this is going to be an interesting one, I think. Well, two parts. What is the thing that you thought about Dak that would be true that is? What is the thing that you thought about Dak that you thought would be true that isn't?
That's a really good one.
Because you guys have both, 2022, 21, somewhere around there.
Okay, I've got my answer to the first one.
Okay.
To what I thought would be true that is
And
true.
okay.
Is I knew it would be something different.
Okay.
I knew it would be different. I had gone through the process, of years of the MRIs, the therapists, the doctors, the surgeries, and I had seen enough of that side of the fence. And like literally you popped up on my Instagram one day and you did a 7-minute deep push-up ISO, and I was like, I am doing that because I know it will do something. I know it will do something different.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to be the same cycle of 6 weeks off, 3x10 eyes wise tees, ice, cupping, hurt after 7 innings of preseason.
Probably gonna do it again.
Surgery, year and a half of rehab. Like I literally rehabbed for a year and a half, for a year and a half, and then through 7 innings of preseason baseball, and I was done. It's like, are you shitting me, dude? Like I literally, for a year and a half, had this belief that like I was working as hard as I could and like doing the right things, and then 7 innings of baseball, all that got shit on. You know what I mean? So like when I saw that 7-minute deep push-up ISO, I was like, I don't even care if it's wrong. I know it's going to be different because the status quo is complete bullshit based off my experience. It has failed me.
What you could see for yourself.
Yes, and so like that was coming in. I knew it was going to be different, and that has been very true.
Okay.
So you can go.
The other one you need some time.
Yeah. What isn't true?
What that you thought would be true and isn't.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll answer with what I thought would be true and wasn't.
Okay.
Or isn't. Is coming in early. This was like peak, like 5-minute push-up ISO, like just long ISO. Like I feel like
I think it would have been end of 2021, early 2022.
When I started.
Probably.
I just remember seeing your content. At least that was kind of like my first.
That's what I shared a lot of. Okay.
Yeah. And so I remember this time period, and I remember it being like, dude, it looks really hard. Like, and so I thought like, oh, this is gonna be like super like military, like militant, not fun.
Yeah.
But like I feel like I've had like like a lot of the stuff is fun, like competition based. Like I thought it was just gonna be like, oh, this is gonna suck. Like it's gonna be like high volume. It's gonna be a lot of things that are good for me, and I'll just find a way to like it.
Yeah, and
it hasn't been that way. I think it's been a blast. Like if you like, I posted that one video on my Instagram of me like doing the clear the barrier and like celebrating, like providing an avenue for that. Like that's just who I am, like as a person. So like I enjoy that part of it, like thoroughly.
Dude, I think that's such a good point because this is the first time you're meeting me in person. I don't. Maybe I am militant. I don't know. But like for me, I like to have fun because a lot of what I post on on Instagram and social media, like it is hard. It's a lot of work. But like, I like to have fun while I'm doing it, and it's not like I'm trying to just be like this motherfucker all the time, you know? Because to me, that's not it. That's not the entirety of life, and that's not me. Yeah. You know. So
and it's like if you want to operate. If you want to get the greatest outputs as possible, then your system has to be efficient because like that's the hallmark of a efficient system is something that can do maximal outputs over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, so if I'm stuck in that one band, I'm going to fatigue in that band.
If you're not you, that's literal resistance.
Yeah.
Like that is stopping you from being you.
Yeah, that's a really...
And then the physical tissue shows up based on how the human is, right?
Yeah.
So like...
so have fun in your training.
Yeah.
If that's
or
you.
be you. Know,
exactly.
If there's days you need to blast some metal and
the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
You're willing to go into all of it, like be pissed off, be really happy, like I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So okay, so then
I've got another one too if you need more time.
No, I think I'm good. The thing that I thought that was going to be true that isn't.
Yeah.
Is the I mean I've said this a jillion times, but like the single joint movements and the really really simple stuff, like the really foundational stuff. At first thought it was complete bullshit, and then
totally fair.
and now, like don't obviously I don't believe that anymore, but like I thought that was gonna be bullshit, and when you look at why we do that stuff, it is some of the most it's all important, right? It's all important, and it can be argued that it's all equally important, right? But it is a very very vital piece of the entire equation, and I think it's very important to talk about like how good foundational capacity work kind of is. And I'm not saying like run 6 miles to build your capacity.
Yeah, it's different.
I'm saying, like just for my hang cleans, for example, like 3 weeks ago, like I could catch 185, like almost standing up, right? And now I can catch 265, almost ass to grass.
Nice.
And it's like, but like that crazy of a jump in 3 weeks, like my ability to progress that skill was only possible due to the foundational work put in. You know what I mean? And I like that. I love looking at it like that, as like the height of a pyramid is completely dependent upon its base every freaking time. And like that's a truth. You know what I mean? And so that is how I look at it, and that is something that I got my mind completely changed on, was the very foundational, the very single joint work, right? And the exposure to the data helped a lot too, right? Like when we had conversations about the training, and you were like, well, we do the joint movements and we do the impulses because single joint movements or global movements or single joint movements put together. I was like, no way. Like, this is how you do it, bro. Like, this is how you build a system. Sure. Along with your global work, right? You need to do global work too. But like, this is the missing piece.
We Egyptians out here building the pyramids.
And so that is one thing that I completely got my mind changed on. Yeah. And I'm happy I did.
No, I know, because you said that before. You're like, man, when I first started, I was like, man.
Well, and like, I just remember what he said earlier today, earlier in this conversation was, like he said he made this adjustment in his lower half, and then he went from 90 to 91 to 95 all of a sudden. And it's like the ability to progress at that skill that quickly came from the foundational work put in.
Because I can control my joints.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if he hadn't done all of that work before, then his literal physical ability to progress at the skill was limited by his foundational capacity to do it. You know, and so like you've talked about skill acquisition a lot. I think that this training specifically is top of the line when it comes to actually giving you the tools to go get better at what you want to get better at. Faster. Because then it prepares the tissue to handle the demands of the skill you want to get better at. And so that was my little rant, but that's what I thought. That's what I thought was going to be true that isn't. Is that the single joint foundational work was bullshit.
Yeah. Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
So for what I thought was true, and it turns out it was in fact true, was the reason I wanted to start training with Dak was because I had reoccurring shoulder impingements every year. So I wanted to delete that from being true, and that's true. We've deleted it.
Yes.
Or what if you would have came on here and be like, that's actually not true, this training sucks ass, and just bomb.
Well, I know that. I was like, I don't know, man, because we didn't talk about these before.
Right,
No.
yeah.
I always like asking that stuff because if it's real, I should be able to ask that and
Sure.
like whatever.
Exactly.
And from my perspective, if there's something that is that, it's not that. It's like great, we need to handle that.
Yeah.
You know, if it's something that's actually not wrong and that's not the way it's supposed to be, okay, thank you for the data. We need to handle that, and we'll go to work handling that. You know, so like, I don't have fear, or at least I try not to have fear. Like, yeah, I'm a little bit whatever, but whatever it is that we actually need to change, like, all right, give me the data and let's go. Even when I'm talking with clients or when you guys are talking with clients, right? It's like, if something's actually wrong, if you don't like something that we're doing, actually communicate that, because we're not working based off of a script here.
No.
You know, we're using this is basically what a lot of the podcast has been about. We're using what your body gives to moderate what it is that we do. So like communicate that, otherwise, you know, we don't know.
And
Same
that-
thing with the
yeah.
business, same thing with whatever, these podcasts, like,
That's been the biggest thing that I've learned as a coach so far.
yeah.
Is that my job and the results that the clients get, the difference in those are exponential compared to where there is a lack of data compared to where all of the data is present. And it's, you know, like the guys I have that communicate well, their literal physical progress is tenfold compared to the guys that I've had so far that haven't been good at communicating or communicating data, like where they're at. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I need to be blown up every day. I'm just saying like,
No,
tell me
but
where
it
you're
is-
at. What do you like? If,
Yes.
if your external rotation is right here and you can't get back here, that is data I need to know. You know what I mean? Because now I know exactly where you're at and I know how to get you past that.
Yep.
But if I think you've got full range, then that's not going to be like tailored to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you are using the data points that you get from the person to create what you're creating for them. And so exactly what you said, if you have less data, you're going to be able to create a less accurate program.
Right.
And there's also like there can't be too much information. I don't need to know if you stubbed your toe yesterday and it hurt for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like I really don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, but the data is extremely useful
Yeah.
to actually building programs in the way that at least I think like it should be done.
I did have one person text me. It was like one of my first clients I ever had. They
Yeah.
texted me and they had a bunch of unilateral depth drops. And they literally scheduled a doctor's appointment the next day because their heels hurt so bad.
Yeah.
I was like, "You're chilling. It happens to me too.
Yeah.
Don't freak out. It's gonna be okay."
Yeah.
Like they thought they broke their heel.
Were they good? What happened?
It went away.
Okay.
I think they're like they probably just had a little bit of like actual bone bruising.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
Maybe they had never done it before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty fun.
But because
I'm glad
even
there
when
was communication.
yeah, even when that happens, right? Then it's like as the coach, because as a coach, then it's like okay, then how do I take that data and obviously like I need to use that data
Right.
to adjust for the client, right? So it's both ends. Communication is extremely vital and important. Yeah. Okay. What are your guys' like next targets? What do you guys both want to do? What's next?
Training us, like training ourselves.
Sure. Training or
Well, you've got a pretty awesome goal.
just kind of
You
like
can go
whatever
ahead.
you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier, but I want to sit 95,
Yeah.
and I want to make the big leagues.
Yeah, that's the goal I was talking about.
I want to actually do it,
Yeah.
and it not be on accident or by chance.
Oh yeah. You? Anything outside of the
I
4 or 5
probably
stuff?
need a definitive goal, honestly, but get to my 40 client cap.
Mhm.
That's a goal.
Yep.
And man, just like continue to, like it is a goal for me to continue to change. I always look at usually like on New Year's, I want to be in a different state. You know what I mean? I want to be doing something different. And so like
Like
this-
each year?
yeah, like I want to make sure I'm in a different spot than I was the year before. You know, because if you're not, like, what the hell did you just do for a year? You know, and like that's nightmare for me. So those will be my goals. It's like continue change in a good way, and get to my 40 client cap.
Okay.
Yep.
Love it. Sweet. Anything else you guys got? Random questions? Random
Come train with us.
What he said.
Or experience it Yeah, it's like, I don't know, at least the way that I approach it is I want to be able to communicate how it is that we operate.
Mm-hmm.
And then the person makes their own decision.
Well, yeah,
You know?
one of the best things you've said is when we were having conversations about like how to talk to clients, when we were doing our mock calls,
Yeah.
right before I started really coaching, when we were doing mock calls,
Yeah.
you asked me, you were basically like, why are you becoming a coach?
Yeah.
I was like, because this training's the shit. And you were like, exactly. So, like, communicate that.
Yeah.
Like, you're becoming a coach because you believe in what we're doing here and you
Mhm.
know it works.
Yeah.
So, communicate that. Like, you don't have to hide that.
Yeah.
And I just think that was a really, like, eye-opening point. Like, yeah, like, I'm about, like, this is my life. I better.
I think it's going to help you,
my
so,
life.
yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So, go ahead.
If I could add to that, I mean, I say this phrase a lot because I find it evidently to be true, is that I feel like when I said I started training with Dak, I added years to my career. And I fully believe that. Like, I had reoccurring shoulder impingements. You can't play if you're injured. And it's that simple. Like, I was able to directly, like, modulate that experience for myself. So it was like, this is real.
Yeah.
It works. Like, explore that and find a way to make something like that true for yourself as well.
Yeah. Whatever your
Whatever
version
that
of
means
that
to you.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And we'll cut it there.